Hello, thank you for tuning in. My name is Gracie Jones, a graduate student and intern for the University of Louisville Women's Center. Today, on September 12th, 2024, I'm with Theresa Haskins Smith, who is here to partake in the Grandmother Power Oral History Project. The goal of this project is to give a voice to our elders, capturing their memories, experiences, and wisdom through the art of storytelling. These cherished moments not only preserve valuable history, but also create a deeper connection between generations. In this conversation, we'll hear firsthand how the bond between grandmother and grandchild shapes their lives and how the stories passed down can have a lasting impact on both young and old. Thank you for joining us in this beautiful celebration of family history and the incredible power of stories. Here with Theresa Haskins Smith, and we are capturing memories, and we have 23 interview questions. So the first category is personal and family history. And so it says, can you please share your name, pronouns, and age?
Theresa Haskins Smith, and my age is 70 years old.
And then the next question is, what are some of your social identities apart from being a grandmother?
Um, Apart from being a grandmother, I'm a people person. I like attending music and festivals. I like doing FaceTime, Facebook Live, which I don't know if a lot of you are familiar with that, but you're videoing events and things that's going on and talking to people.
Yeah.
And I like dealing with cultural events.
Thank you. How many grandchildren do you have?
3.
Three. And can you share a bit about their ages and your relationship with them?
The 116, my relationship with her now is about growing up and being a leader and being strong. And she's a sophomore in high school. A junior. Um, and she's kind of torn between what she wants to do with her life. And like I told her, she wants to attend college, but a lot of times you'll change your major a couple of times before you get that knack. So I tell her that's okay, and keeping up those grades and basically just being a leader in whatever she does, even going off to college. Just don't be a follower, be a leader. 10-year-old, she's, it's really weird. She's interested in asking questions about when I was coming up. What did I do? What did I like? So we talk about that. So I'm beginning to share more history with her than I did with the older one. And that's because they got two different personalities. She likes the arts. And by the way, the other one likes athletics. The middle one, 10, likes the arts, which was one of my favorite things in high school. So we kind of really click with that. So hers is, she's interested in history about family. My youngest grandchild is Santana. He's into sports. So right now, his main thing is, Nana, can you cook this? Can you cook that? So he's relating to me to cooking a certain food or something he likes. So this summer they spent time with me, and as soon as he went home, he told his dad, "Can you fix me that?" He said, "No, Nana, Nana can fix that." So that's where we're at. We're at different points in our lives with each other.
So they call you Nana.
Nana.
So can you talk a little bit about where you grew up and how your upbringing shapes your beliefs and values?
I grew up in a small town called Campbellsville, Kentucky. We didn't even sell liquor in my town. In my town, you you went to church. You had women. I guess to go back, slow down, Miss Theresa. You had Sunday school. You had church, and then you had what you call BTU in the evening. It's Bible training study. Then on Wednesday we had prayer meeting, and Thursday was choir rehearsal. So my family upbringing was that, and then also the neighborhood was a part of raising you. You had your family, you had the neighborhood, and the church. So all that was a part of my raising, and today I am who I am because I had a little bit of everything that raised me. I hope it answers your question.
It does. The next question is, can you describe how your parents or guardians influenced your life and values as well?
My parents influenced because both of my parents were very young when they got married. My mother was 14, my dad was 7. Um, they had goals and aspirations, but they came up in a different time. My father was from a family of 11, so financially it was hard. Him being the oldest had to work and help take care of the younger ones. My mom was young. Uh, she wanted to be a nurse, but she wasn't able to do that. She got married at a young age, and that drive was a little different. We're talking about coming up in a time where blacks were still trying to get education and getting that motivation. But even from their parents, it was a little different than me when I motivated my kids. So I hope it answers your question. Yeah, they were young, so they motivated me into get an education, or if I didn't even go to the direction of going to college, but to get a job and do something with your life and work. If it's a blue collar, white collar job, but to work.
Do you have any memories of your grandmother that you can recall?
On both sides? Yeah. Yes, I do. My grandmother, my mother's side, was a seamstress. I even knew my grandmother, she was a seamstress. And they were cooks. We even got recipes that's passed down that I still make that they made. And I remember sitting in the kitchen and watching my grandmother make potato salad. So whenever I make potato salad, people want my recipe. I said, I don't have one. Because then, a lot of times, coming up in that time, you did buy things by word of mouth. Because early on in those years, a lot of blacks didn't read or they didn't write. We did by word of mouth or we watched. So that grandmother on that side was a seamstress and a cook. My other grandmother on my dad's mother, that's the one that had the 11 kids. I watched her kill the chicken in the yard, put in hot water, take the feathers off of it, cook it for dinner. She would be up by 5 o'clock or 5:30 every day, fully dressed. And when I say got lipstick on and makeup, she had it all on. And so I never seen her without her powder or lipstick. She was a Christian. She told me about her mother. Her mother was born into slavery. Her grandmother was a slave. Their roots are from Africa. She was into African herbal remedies. So when you would go into her house and walk into her kitchen, to the right was a cabinet. I mean, with 11 kids, you had to have some cold remedies, or if you sprain your ankle. So this is how she was brought up. So when I went to do my thesis on my paper, I wrote it on African American herbal remedies.
Wow.
So a lot. I mean, it's so much to tell.
Right.
So when she died, up under her bed, she had recipes of the herbal remedies written on cardboard. So that helped me do my paper. Yeah. So she left a rich legacy. She did.
Yeah. So you're a substitute teacher now, but what did you do before?
Before this, several things. Lived in Los Angeles for 20 years. I worked as a rehab specialist for disabled adults. I was a WIC counselor to encourage women for breastfeeding. Then when I came here in Louisville, I took on a job, several jobs with Jefferson County, but my last job was homeschool coordinator, where you work with a population of, you had 20 kids, like freshmen, juniors, and seniors. They had some barriers, attendance barriers, so our goal was to keep them in school. Yeah. So you keep them as a freshman, they graduate, you follow them all the way down till they graduate high school. And some of those kids stayed in touch with me even after they wanted to attend college. I helped them get in college. They call me back and I'm having a problem with math. I said, okay, go to your lab. I still was encouraged, and to this day, I'm in touch with a lot of those kids. They went on and got their masters, and they got families, and they're doing fine.
Yeah. So what brought you back to Louisville? You lived in LA for 20 years.
Well, I came back. My husband and I divorced after 14 years. Then I wanted my kids to be closer to their families. I mean, we could travel back and forth, but I just, when you're going through something, you feel like it's the best time. So that was one of the reasons. Family and being close.
Right.
So that's why I came back. If would I have stayed? Probably if I had thought about it a second time, but I didn't.
Yeah.
But I'm okay.
Thank you. So the next category is community and social identity. So it says, if comfortable sharing, what challenges did your community or family face when you were younger?
My community.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, you're talking about integration came in at the fourth grade. I mean, for the first 4 years of my school years, I went to all black school. Then we were integrated fifth grade. We're talking somewhere maybe 63, 4, maybe a little later. Some of those challenges, did I feel uncomfortable? Maybe as a child, yeah, maybe for the first couple of weeks. Then you begin to play, and kids are only taught hatred or dislike. But it's funny when you're on the playground playing, you're not thinking about that. So that may have been a challenge. Even before we were integrated, my sister and I talk about this. Our neighbor was a little white girl, Caucasian. We played, we grew up together. Not that I realized until one day I saw the bus come to her house and pick her up, and I kept saying, why is she getting on the bus when she can go over across the street? I'm not thinking about color.
Right.
So she gets on the bus, we go through that, and then when we did integrate in my fifth grade class, there she sit beside me. But I've been doing it all my life.
Yeah.
So I wasn't taught that she was white. I don't think she taught that I was black. We just played.
Right.
So kids only learn what you teach them or what you show them. Mm-hmm. So I think maybe that would have been a challenge, but we got over it.
Right.
Yeah.
So the next question, it says, during your youth, what resources or support systems did you rely on to overcome difficulties?
Probably, my resources were the older people in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I tell you, a man named Mr. John, he was our neighbor, my neighbor. When relatives got older, sometimes they came to live with their nieces and nephews. His name was Mr. John. I'll never forget. I was 12 years old, and then we walking up the street, and he's walking to the store. And he said, he asked me how I was doing. I said, fine. He said, I'm going to tell you something, young lady. How old are you? I said, 12. He said, now look, get your education. So if something ever happens to your marriage and relationship, or you don't have to be married, you just want to make a life for yourself, you can make it. You can make a living for yourself. I said, okay. And you know what? I never forgot that. It still sticks with me. Yeah. Here's a man in his 80s telling me, and he didn't get the opportunity to get an education, but he was telling me, a black young girl, get your education so you can be able to survive and live and make in this world without depending on, well, I'm not going to be frank on this interview, sleeping with somebody to get a plate of food. And I hope it's okay.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
It says, in what ways do you think your sense of community has evolved over the years?
My sense of community has evolved over the years. Can you clear it up a little bit? What do you?
Yeah, so whether, because you mentioned growing up in the church and things like that, so if you still attend church, what family gatherings look like? Do you see your grandchildren often?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we have what you call in our family, since we got 11 kids on my dad's side, so we talking about 3 or 4 generations, kids having kids. Yeah. So that top line, which is brothers and sisters, which my dad is the oldest of that line, they're dying out. So now you have cousins. So we have what you call this cousin reunion to keep them connected, to know who they are. So we do that. We do Christmas dinners out on the farm because I still have uncles and aunts that live in the country that still raise corn, tomatoes, goats, cows. So I still got that country blood in me, which I love very, very much. So my grandkids who growing up in Cincinnati, Ohio, in the city, they're not on the farm, but I make a thing every summer. My grandkids spend time with me. We go to the 4th of July country parades. We go to cousin reunions. We go to the farms. I've got Facebook Lives on the goats. I told them pick the goat out that you want. I mean sheep for a nice sweater. So I've got all these things I'm going to save for them that I want them to have, so they can remember. I mean, I remember my grandmother, but wouldn't it have been something else if we had all that? Now you record. I've got recordings from my grandkids up until 16 years old. Wouldn't that have been amazing?
Yeah.
But so mine are in memories. But a lot of mine are memories, but they're also on video.
Right, which is special to
Yeah,
have.
it is.
The next category is leadership and role models, and it says, who were the leaders or role models you admired when you were younger?
One role model that I admired was a Caucasian teacher, Miss Anna Faye Hogue. Now we're talking about early 70s teaching a Black history class, which was a little different during that time. She was definitely a role model. She had me in her speech and drama class. And I think I owe a lot to her encouraging me to bring that out. I competed with a lot of, we would go to UK, we would compete against other students all over the state of Kentucky, which it could have been poetry, drama, debate team, and it goes on and on. And I really admire her for that. Biology teacher, Mr. Richardson. He's another one. You know, they were teachers. Teachers, ministers. Reverend Shields, a man that baptized me. So it came from a lot, and it came from the older man I was telling you about coming up the street, because we had these people around us.
Right.
You know, you walk in the street and you sit on the front porch, and they're sitting there talking, and they telling you about life and how to live. And it's a little different now.
Right.
Because now people don't like you raising their kids. They don't like that. What I want to call it, it takes a village.
Yeah.
Then they embrace that. I'm not saying they don't embrace it now, but it's a little bit touchy.
Yeah.
Now when somebody tells somebody else, because I've experienced that even here in education, when you're trying to tell another parent about their kid, or maybe you should do this, they get a little edgy with that.
Yeah. Who do you see as key leaders in your community today?
Who do I see as good leaders?
Yes.
In my community?
Yeah, and it could be local or it could be national.
Well, I see a good leader as Kamala Harris, Vice President. And the reason I say that, she was raised in the middle class. She understands. Appears to be raised with a lot of love. Goes off to college. Working parents, mom. Seems like her mom really instilled in her about doing the right thing, and it has flowed on into her personal life. Not everybody gets that, to be raised that way, and it's kind of hard for me to fathom, but it happens. So I look at her. I look at a lot of positive people,
Right.
but she really stands out because I have a daughter almost close to her age, and it was middle class. I raised her the same way, to go to college, do people right. Yeah.
Right.
So I hope it answers the question.
It does. Thank you. It says, what actions do you believe are necessary for leaders to improve community well-being and foster unity?
What actions?
Mm-hmm.
And you probably heard this. It starts at home. It really, really does.
Yeah.
When I had my daughter and son, you know, they knew there were rules. They knew that if you decided that you didn't want to go to college, that was okay, but you were going to do something that was honest. You weren't going to be taken from somebody. So that's just how I raised them. So it starts, in order for anything to work, it's like building an automobile. If the engine ain't put together right, I don't care about the wheels. It ain't gonna roll very long because it's got to be put. It's got to be put together, the right screw. And if it's something that's loose, it may break down. But in the event that it does, even with raising kids, you can make that foundation strong, and you expect them. They're gonna kind of lead to the left sometime, but they'll come back.
Yeah.
Because along the way, they're gonna meet a teacher, an older person walking down the street that's gonna say, "Hey, let's get this engine back."
Yeah.
So they may not listen to me, but they're gonna listen to somebody. So.
Thank you. What do you consider the most significant challenges facing our community today?
Well, I think some of the challenges are I'm gonna go back to this. It's how grown-ups or people present themselves. And if you don't present yourself to a student in a positive way, then you're gonna ask for some problems. So it's a challenge being a young parent. I'm not saying that just because you're young, you can't be a good parent. And usually if you are a good parent and you're young, it's because you had that grandmother to help you raise and get you started on the right way. Now, everybody can't be, you got old people that can't be good parents. So I think it's a challenge in that respect.
Right.
Yeah.
The next question is, who do you see as the most vulnerable members of our community now, and what can we do to support them?
Oh, man. I don't know if I want to say male and female. Do I want to say both? I'm going to say both. They're vulnerable right now. They're vulnerable because sometimes parenting is not taken seriously. And am I allowed to say what I want to say on this?
Yes, of course. Feel free.
I'm going to use this as a real situation that happened. You know, our kids, they ride with some of their parents to school. I had a few years ago, a young man come in. He smelled like marijuana. Now, he was going to get in trouble for that. He said, "Miss Smith, I would smoke." And he said, "My mother was smoking. She got to have a cup of liquor in her joint before she get in here." So this is what happens. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
I mean, I could go on, but I'm just kind of letting you know what happens to a kid.
Right.
And he had no part of that.
Yeah.
But this is what he has to face. This is his. We can't go in and tell that mother how to raise that child.
Right. The next category is importance of voting and voting rights. And the question is, how has your perspective on voting and its significance changed throughout your life?
It has changed now. I'm not saying just because I voted for that person that person gonna win. We wish they would in the times that I have voted, but you can't fuss about something if you don't vote. Numbers count.
Yes.
So you have to vote, and a lot of times, even our people voted for voting rights, our kids are still not there because a lot of their parents don't vote. They say, "Oh, it's not going to matter," but it does matter. Numbers matter. So we really have to work hard with that. Even in high school, I think they got the women league voters come here sometime to work with our kids who've turned 18 to vote. Because a lot of times it's not pushed in the house.
Yeah.
And then you got to know what you're voting for. You got to read your politics. You got to go, okay, let me go over and see what Kamala's standing for. Let me see what Mr. Trump is standing for. Then you ask yourself, is that the way I really want to live? you have to educate yourself. It's not about the name. You got to educate yourself on what are you looking for yourself and your future children. So, yeah, we still got a long way to go with that.
Yes, we do.
A
We
long
do.
way.
The next category is opening lines of communication across generations. And it says, what strategies do you use to share your experiences and values with your grandchildren?
To share my values and what?
It says values and experiences.
And experiences. You know, sometimes you start doing your grandkids say, oh, here we go. What
Yes.
happened in 1900? I said, no. I said, let me tell you about me coming up. Let me tell you about my friends. You know, it was 11 blacks in my whole graduating class out of 11. But I dealt with it. I was on the yearbook staff. I was voted best personality because I wasn't going to let anybody hold me back. So I tell them about my experience. I tell them about the experience when I was a senior in high school, and my counselor, which was Caucasian, told me that I wasn't going to college, that I was a bit retarded. And I thought, where'd she get this from? Because I was a good student. And as the years went by and I was out of high school and I was talking to some friends, some black friends, they told me they told them the same thing. Now, isn't that something? I didn't even know that. I'm thinking, here I'm the only one she told that.
Yeah.
And this one guy said, no, she told me the same thing. Do you know how poison that was? Do you know how many people that might not have, that stopped from going to school or pursuing a dream that they had put in their brain? Yeah, we had to deal with that. It was 1972.
It's crazy.
But it happened.
Yeah.
And she came across a lot of people.
The next question is, how can younger generations learn from the experiences of their elders to help shape a better future?
You got to have some morals. You know, bottom line, you've got to have some morals. You've got to have some respect. You can change things, but it's how you come in. You know, like Dr. King, he believed in nonviolence. It worked, but it took his life.
Yeah.
But a lot of it worked. So a lot of our kids get angry. They, you know, even with me subbing, I tell them, I said, you're not going to get anywhere by being angry and mad and cussing. Of course, right. I said, I get angry. I said, but you got to know how to control it if you want to get what you want to get. I said, being nice and kind has got me a long way. So it's teaching that from home. You're teaching it from your teachers, your minister, or even their peers. I probably talk about that every day with my kids, because some of them are like this. Well, it doesn't matter. Well, this morning, as soon as I walked in the door, they were angry. Somebody was mad, getting ready to fight. I thought, where does that come from early in the morning?
Right.
But we pulled the young lady in. We talked to her, and she settled down. I said, honey, you're gonna get more by being just calm down. And she was okay. Just taking that time. That's all.
Right. What are some common misunderstandings between generations, and how can we bridge the gaps?
Well, sometimes some of the common misunderstandings is, I think, and I'm not speaking for all youth, they think that we took too much. Hush, hush type. Some of those misunderstandings, I think, happen. I think not reading. Reading is very important because you get a lot of information. So we didn't have that ground to read and research and find, okay, how can I change this? Or how can I go vote? Or let me go see what this politician, what is he standing for? See, that bridges the gap when you can read. But if you don't read, you're not going to know. So I think that back in, say, my grandmother and beyond great-grands, a lot of times they didn't read. That old saying is, if you want to hold a man back, don't read. So I think some of those things that held us back.
Thank you. This is the last category as well. It's wisdom, hopes, and future aspirations. And it says, reflecting on your life, what is one piece of advice you wish you had known when you were younger?
Um, that I can do anything I want to do, or somebody would tell me. My When I got out of high school and I went to college, I went in uh, to major in theater.
Mm-hmm.
I got out of theater because I feel like I ain't gonna do nothing with this. I ain't gonna make it this. I think I could have,
Yeah.
but I didn't have anybody telling me I could have. You know, when you're in a small town and what you see is a teacher and a preacher. I think we had one nurse in the community. Then that's what I tend to kind of stuck to the education side.
Right.
But if I had seen more of the other side, say an actor, say a politician. I got an aunt, same thing, went to college together. She said, if I had seen a politician more, she said, I wouldn't have been in social work. I probably wouldn't have been a politician.
Mm-hmm.
But it's what you see.
Right.
And I think it's kind of what happened to me. So I tell anybody, just because you don't see it don't mean it's not going to be you. So you got to read, now we got social media, we got all those things. So now your dreams are a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can dream high. You can say, oh, I can do that.
Yes.
I can do that.
You can. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
The next question is, what wisdom or lessons have you gained as a grandmother that you think are important for future generations to understand?
What wisdom? What is it?
It says, what wisdom or lessons have you gained as a grandmother that you think are important for future generations to understand?
What I've gained as a grandmother is that take time to teach and love. It doesn't matter if the kitchen's dirty, or if the carpet isn't vacuum.
Yeah.
You know, my daughter said, well, Mom, you didn't care she broke that cup. It don't matter. Just buy another one. Go to Goodwill, Walmart, go get another one. Mm-hmm. But see, when you're young, you're thinking about, oh my God, it's so hard getting this. I don't have any money. So, but as you get older, it really don't matter. Mm-hmm. All those little material things don't matter. What matters is that you can plant a dream. You can plant some encouragement that will stick with you till the end of time, and then what you do, you pass that dream on to the next generation. Those are the things that never die. Mm-hmm. Dishes, it don't matter. Dirty floor, it don't. Who's gonna talk about what? Grandmama had a dirty kitchen. Did you know that? No, but you know what my grandmother told me. That's what's they're gonna remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What are your hopes and dreams for your grandchildren and their future?
I just want them to be productive citizens. I want them to follow their dreams. I want them, if they don't do nothing, but believe that you can do it, and don't be selfish with you, but encourage somebody else along the way that's maybe less fortunate. Maybe they don't have a mom and dad. Maybe they don't live middle class, but encourage that you can come out of the situation that you're in. So I hope they can carry that don't have that selfish heart. You know, don't think you above somebody. That's the most precious thing in the world.
And then my last question, it says, looking back on your life, what achievement are you most proud of?
My most proud achievement that I'm proud of is that I have met so many beautiful students, that I have encouraged so many. And when I see them in the mall, you know, they run up to you and they say, thank you. I thought you was being mean to me, but you weren't. I said, I told you I wasn't being mean. I was just trying to mold you. Mm-hmm. And then I looked down and they got two little kids and a beautiful wife. And I said, that's all I was doing, trying to mold you so you can help mold these right here. So that's mine. Mm-hmm. It's the many faces that I've come across, and they come in and they tell me thank you. And I've got letters and buying a notebook of letters that they've written, and they shouldn't have been writing letters in school. Nice ones, and telling me thank you. So no, that's mine. It's it's not about the big house on the hill. Right. It really isn't.
Yeah.
It's about molding somebody. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you would like to share, or any story or anything?
Is there anything else I would like to share? A story? Dang, got so many. No. Just like my grandmother, my grandmother, which is my dad's grandma, she was very Christian, very Christian woman. Mm-hmm. And anytime you would go home and you take her out, maybe she'd go to the drugstore, she's witness to people. And that meant a lot to me because it helped mold me and raise me. She was just a good person. And I think my life and her 11 children and her great-great-grands and grandkids, her prayers we've lived on her prayers. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the same thing with our own kids. If you pray and you believe that's the Lord to protect them, they can live on your prayers. Mm-hmm. But you got to be a role model too. Right. So just being a role